despite that supposed expertise, I'm learning all the time.
Yeah.
And that's from talking to students, that's dealing with placement providers, it's dealing with postgraduate students, it's other academics. It's a non-stop learning process. And I guess, you know, I adore that aspect of the discipline, that I'm constantly learning, and I hope that that enthusiasm is infectious.
I think for me, it's a case of sort of trying to learn as much as I can in order to better myself, to better other people, sort of thing. Like, there's always more to learn. There's like, the world is ever changing. You know, like COVID, for example, like it shut the world down to an extent, and people really had to think on their feet and react and adapt pretty quickly to the situation that was really quite damaging to the globe. And I think lots of things can be taken from that. Like, for example, the NHS app, you know, like sort of how quickly that came about and how quickly its usage sort of helped the general population, whether ideas like that can be applied in a clinical setting, like, I don't know, people with cardiovascular disease, that kind of thing, and how exercise levels can impact all these other diseases like heart disease, cancer, arthritis, you name it. Just sort of having that reminder for people could benefit the population as a whole. And obviously obesity is such a big issue all across the globe. Sort of, I think I like being able to gain as much knowledge to try and apply it to situations that need addressing, kind of thing. And I think the thought of actually being able to make a change in people's lives really spurs me on. And I certainly found that through the traveling that I've done in the past. Like, it sets off some sort of flame. I'm like, I want to help. I want to make a difference somehow to better people's existence, really.
Yeah, this field is definitely always changing. It's so fast paced and there's always like new things to discover and to learn. I think that's what motivates me as well. So always something new around the corner.
And like, especially with the application of technology, like, I don't know, like I've recently been learning about amputee runners, for example, and how whether they have an advantage over able-bodied athletes. And there's so much more to it, because initially you think, well, you know, someone's missing half their leg. Of course they're at a disadvantage, but actually, you know, when you get to the nitty-gritty details, there's so much more to learn. And obviously technology is ever changing. It's always improving, getting better. And it's sort of how the use of that can impact exercise and sport and all the areas that sports, health and exercise science covers. It's really cool.
I think if you think about some of the biggest challenges we have, you know, sort of increasing prevalence of chronic diseases, like you said, diabetes, obesity, heart disease, cancers, they're all on the increase. Physical activity has such a massive role in all of that. Technologies for you know, the sports watchers and what have you, the technologies to enable people to become more active, become more healthy, you know, we're at the forefront of that as well. The aging population with comorbid conditions, you know, how do we treat them? Well, the NHS won't be able to afford to treat them. We need to keep them out of hospital. How do you do that? Well, exercise is one of the ways, you know. Yeah. So this discipline is at the core of so many of the challenges that we face in society today.
For me, the discipline it's about like learning. I'm supposed to, like, supposedly I'm an expert in my area. If you look at my profile, I look like an expert. I've published a huge amount in my area, so I look to an outsider like an expert, given how much I've written or published in my field. But I'm all learning, despite that supposed expertise. I'm learning all the time.
Yeah.
And that's from talking to students, that's dealing with placement providers, it's dealing with postgraduate students, it's other academics. It's a non-stop learning process, and I guess that I adore that aspect of the discipline, that I'm constantly learning, and I hope that that enthusiasm is infectious. I think for most of us as academics, that's something we try to convey our enthusiasm for the subject to our students in one-to-one meetings, in lectures, etc. And I think we hope that they develop the love for the subject that we have. And for me, that's what that discipline's all about. Just continually learning, continually updating my knowledge. You never know. You never have all the answers to all the questions. Every study you do throws up additional questions, and it's just about building your knowledge, continuing to build your knowledge. And I hope that's something that students pick up from us, that they see that we're passionate about what we do. And then they develop a similar level of sort of passion for the subject, and they take that into their careers as they go forward.
I think in my degree, I was absolutely enthralled for 3 years, totally enthralled. And I still am. All these years later, I'm still enthralled. And I love to see both staff and all our students and develop. I like to see them enthralled, but then develop their careers through the department and see them grow as people, gain confidence and get careers that they're going to be really fulfilled by. That to me is massive.
That's something I've learned at uni, though. You can never finish all the work. It doesn't matter how much you work, there's always more. But I guess it's a blessing in disguise, because you can always learn more and build on your knowledge.
I think I'm very similar to John, just the passion of the knowledge transfer and supporting anybody who has an interest in the subject area on their own journey to discover more passion, more enthusiasm for the subject area, for the ability to help us whatever path that is in innovation. And I think that's really rewarding. And I'll never forget the first graduation ceremony I attended, where I'd see the cohort go on to year 5, and a lot of journeys, they were thankful to me and the rest of the programme team, the rest of the school, for the experience that they've had. And I think that's really, really, really valuable, and it's a nice driver.